listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Boardwalk Empire After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Boardwalk Empire After Show.
Yes, Bing is for doing, and we're here doing Boardwalk Empire. Let's see, bad spelling on the board, Season 3, Episode 5, Ging Gang Goolie. I'm your host, Keven Undergaro. I'm here with two very pretty girls who are here with me every week. Well,
hey, it's girls? Oh, I thought when you say pretty, I think Ebony's going to start.
Stop it.
Oh,
Oh, my gosh,
really?
you're making a black girl blush. Ebony K. Williams.
And I'm Kristen Carney.
And we are without Bethany Jaber. Bethany Gaber. Bethany Geber.
Yeah, we miss Bethany.
We miss Bethany tonight. Anyway, we'll do our best to hold it down. Of course, I love the show. I'm like crazy for it. I thought tonight was a little slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It was like a prep, like a softball pitch to next episode.
Maybe we needed that.
Yeah.
Maybe we needed to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to start
I
out
like
with
the fast pitch.
So yeah, you know, me too.
Yeah.
I love how it's Goodfellas every week or Godfather every week. This was definitely a little slower.
Yeah.
Mike August, superfan, immediately sent in some thoughts, and I want to relay them before we get started. Just the fact that this is another episode named after a song, which, you know, Ging Gang Goolie sung so wonderfully by the Boy Scouts.
Yes.
And then, quote, Puka takes shape of a black horse. Must be part of the song. Yet another horse reference. In Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, the black horse symbolized famine. Excellent writing here with the moldy bread, and Albie Gold saying, you will eat anything if you are hungry. And speaking of the moldy bread and oily rags, we go from cleanliness to the theme of grime this week, references to gypsies, vagrants, etc. President Harding dies later in the year in August. A little bit of a spoiler, but it is known in history. His death was first believed to be caused from food poisoning and later was stated to be by heart attack. There were rumors that he was murdered. So all this stuff is going to unfold. It depends how fast they're going to go in the timeline. We know. Nice. Little Elliot Ness. Anyhow, starting off with Richard at the American Legion Hall.
Yeah, it was nice to see him, you know, kind of in an element of comfort, you know, with his boys, and that was nice.
I just thought it was interesting that this was before the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I don't know if there was a Veterans of Foreign Wars at that time. And interesting that you had all these men injured dealing with the same problems our vets are dealing with today.
Yeah.
And the government's declaring that Richard is fit
Still
enough
eligible to work. Yeah, and it's like, I think somebody asked in that scene, how much do they want to see from us? You know, how much disability does it take to be disabled? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, the government looks as, you know, your face doesn't prevent you from lifting wood or, you know, laying a railroad.
It's crazy.
Right.
So it was like,
and no one ever takes into consideration back then mental stress or post-traumatic stress, things like that.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it was after Vietnam is what really made them start looking into that. But we know now from a lot of the World War II veterans and people's parents and grandparents what they experienced and was just attributed to other things, personality disorders, defects, moodiness, all related to the war.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it. So it's very cool. Once again, I love seeing things in history that are spawning.
Right.
And American Legion Hall, you had said, started when?
1919, I do believe.
10.
Something. Oh, excuse me, 1910.
1910.
Based in Indiana. So it was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I like seeing it.
Yeah, and I like seeing Richard in an element where he can be strong and not.
But he's still the outcast again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. At least he's with his people, though. I feel like he feels at least he's an outcast with the outcasts.
He's probably seeking some kind of home. Which we've seen for 3 seasons.
In seeing him looking at pictures with his sister, I think he just feels so disconnected from everyone and everything.
Yeah.
That he's looking for. It's just some sort of connection with people.
And I feel like he barely got one. And the one guy that was crappy to him, you know, had a terrible thing to say to him. Of course, Richard, being Richard, is sensitive to his plight, cleans up his mess, and we get to meet this Julia chick.
Yeah.
Julia Sigorsky.
You see a little bit of a preview of his new boo piece. I like it.
I love it. I'm gonna move your mic closer.
Oh, sure.
I want to hear you.
Okay.
So we think that there'll be some kind of love connection.
I think just the way Gillian had to fill in the void of Jimmy in a sexual way. I think you know, you see that with Richard having the gap of Angela.
Exactly.
So he's gonna have somebody.
I think the two of them both finding someone today.
To his sister, you know, because he saw his sister in Angela, and now that she's gone, I think maybe he'll see that in Julia. So
it's nice. Well, you know, we love his character, and we're just happy to see them not get rid of him.
And ever since last season, or was it season 1 or season 2, where he was thinking about committing suicide, you've always rooted for him to get better. Yeah. And you don't see it.
I think you just root for him anyway, right? Because of that affliction and the way he's so sensitive and decent, and he does the dirty work, but he does it out of duty and out of loyalty. And in this world that's so corrupt, it's just great to see. So let's talk about iTunes real quick, and then we'll get into all of our other subjects. So, Phil, our ratings are pretty good on iTunes for the show, correct?
For Boardwalk, yeah.
Yeah. But we
still like you a lot.
But we still like you guys to go there and rate and comment. Go to iTunes.com/AfterBuzz TV, and that would take you to what? Our whole roster of shows, Phil?
Yeah, that'll take you to the network page. Because again, we are a network.
I see. So then you would click on.
Then you would click on Boardwalk Empire. I mean, there's multiple ways of getting there. I just like to go to go into iTunes and I go to the iTunes store and I search Boardwalk Empire and type in AfterBuzz. It'll get you there quicker. So there's multiple ways of getting there. Of course, we always tweet it out, you know. So whatever way you get there, just rate and comment.
Rate and comment.
We read all the comments. I love reading the comments.
Yeah, and you can always rate, but comment. That's more fun.
Yeah, the comments are great. No, we take them to heart, and they're important. And we get some YouTube love, too. You know, you can go see us at YouTube. And I think that's a good point, Phil. At AfterBuzz TV is our Twitter, right?
That's right.
All right, very good. Well, okay, so you had mentioned Gillian and the parallel now between her finding a new Jimmy, which is just so creepy and weird.
When she said, "You took me back," I was like, done. Like,
you took me back to the way I used to feel.
Oh my jeez, Jillian, come on.
So what is Roger there for? I believe it's a psychological thing, but knowing her, don't you think there's going to be something more to it?
Oh yeah, I think she wants to create him into the new Jimmy to run, you know, help her gain more power back. You know, she seems to really be falling off the
I mean, let's not forget it's still the 20s, right? So you still need like a male figure to kind of add to the legitimization of her as a businesswoman. So if she can he can be kind of a puppet, you know, and she can mold him in that way.
And I wonder if she's calling him James after the king, which is a great response.
Yes.
So he's going to be king of the brothel, at least puppet king.
But I think that would do her a disservice, because if she brought someone in that noticeably looks like Jimmy, you would almost say
weirdo.
Jillian's a freak, and you know, this kid is not legit. He has, you know, not done anything.
But she doesn't have contact with a lot of people that would call her out on that.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is there going to be some kind of insurance play or forgery, or
she wrote that letter? So I don't doubt that that's
so I'm wondering if he doesn't really take on Jimmy's identity.
I wouldn't put it past her.
So then she can control all the money and stuff.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think about her firing?
Loved it.
Yeah, so I'm like, is she still having feelings for Lucky, you think? Like, what was that about?
No. That was totally smart business. Again, a really smart, strong woman who knew that he put his hooks into this girl, now is going to get her addicted to smack, then get the other girls addicted to smack, and basically she just cut the cancer off before it started. So good. I was so happy to see that.
Yes.
And she stood her ground. Wait, I own this place. No. And I own this house. It was great. It was really cool to see that.
You can see her going from so irrational to rational.
That's true in that moment.
It's the most rational thing she could have done with Lucky.
She's always been rational, it seems like, with business. It's just that her
emotional.
The fact that she was in love with her son. That was a little kooky.
Yeah.
A little kooky.
Well, Jimmy was a sexy man. I can't put it past.
Okay, so so now what do you girls? I don't know if our fans care, but what do you guys think of Roger? Sexy enough to be a leading man or no?
No, he's no Jimmy. No, he's no Jimmy. He didn't have the charisma of Jimmy, and he seemed a lot weaker than Jimmy. You know, he was
Good
looking
body.
for something.
I mean, he was a muscular
yeah,
guy.
physically, I don't think he would be weaker, but he didn't have a job. You know, he was.
Yeah.
No, take a step back, guys. I'm now saying purely from casting. You're at home.
No.
And you know the way people fell in love with Jimmy, ladies fell in love with Jimmy as a leading man. Do you guys see this guy potentially becoming a leading man on the show?
No.
Purely from, I'm just saying, purely as a business standpoint, you're running the show, you're HBO, and no.
Kid ain't got it.
No, because so much of what made him sexy was his confidence and his leadership. You know, and this kid's
his vulnerability.
Guys, we don't know that yet. This kid may step up in the way. I'm saying, you just look at him and you go, wow.
As a casting person, if I was working in casting, I wouldn't say that's the new Jimmy. No.
Interesting. And now I wonder if that's done by design because he's out after season, or if you were, because I'm saying if you were looking on the business end, if you were looking to replace that character because you were saying, geez, you know, we got a lot of fans who are upset that we lost Jimmy. We had Nucky to hold it down. Great actor, great character. But you know what? We got to think about the women out there who are in love with Michael Pitt.
Right.
So, you know, I wonder if I'm not running the show, I don't really bring in a real head turner.
I think it's not a smart move to replace someone who seems a little bit irreplaceable because you'll always measure them up to the old. And I think we mentioned
so they did the right thing going with somebody that wasn't as
very
striking.
Opposite, right?
Yeah. And we kind of mentioned here and there that Jip perhaps was maybe a replacement for Jimmy in a way.
No, I never said that.
I don't know. I thought
he's just another villain. No, he's just a villain to come in.
He's somebody to play against Nucky. I think that the girls
right in
that
that
are
sense.
I think Owen is the guy.
I was gonna say. I think we kind
you
of
guys are all.
Owen.
Yeah, you guys are just. You're melting for Owen.
I think it's smart to replace someone with someone who's the polar opposite.
Yeah, dark hair, dark eyes.
Than what they were, so
different.
that there's no. They're not really that person.
Almost.
And you know, something completely insultingly unrelated. When we replaced Jenny McCarthy, when Jenny McCarthy left singled out. That's why we went with Carmen Electra.
Right. Exactly.
Right. To your
She'd
point.
never be as good.
So, all right, Phil, what's going on with After Blog? We have Orgy Wallflower, aka Jason Squamata. I think that's his pen name. Jason Squamata is now blogging for AfterBuzz. I know we have some other bloggers too.
That's right. Well, you guys as Boardwalk Empire fans will probably find this very, very entertaining. He's doing a blog for Boardwalk Empire, and so you know it's a nice way to supplement what we got here. You know, for those of you who like to read, it's definitely right up your alley. And you know, tell your friends about it. It's a new thing that we're starting, so definitely spread the word. You know, it's I think 2 weeks old.
Yeah, it's not that old. But the thing is with Jason is that he's an incredible writer, but he has a really smart take on this show. And not saying we don't, but he's got a day to digest it. You know, he turns it into, guys, probably 5, 6 in the morning. You know, he'll be working at it all night. And I know last time when I read his stuff, it was like, wow, it was all the stuff that I thought I missed. So
well,
I'll
it's
share
the spirit of AfterBuzz. It's
Phil, sell it for me. Why would I want to? I don't want to just read it. Tell me how great Jason is.
Jason is amazing.
That's right. So why would they want to go there?
Why would they want to go there?
No, because Jason's amazing. Because our people are going to give you the extra insight. But Jason's take on it, like Michael August, which Mike August would write one hell of a blog, I think, as well. But Jason's stuff is so great. Now next week I want to make sure I read it for you guys, because I know when I read it, I'm like, oh wow, how did I miss that? And he says the same.
Jason's IQ is, what is it, like 2,000?
No, I think it's
up there.
It's 160. It's pretty high up there. But the point is, it's giving us a little extra stuff. But by the way, no, but to our compliment, he says that we get stuff he misses.
Oh,
perfect.
Nice.
So it shows. So it's a nice little thing. So please check it out when you get a chance. Okay, so before we get into the whole like Nucky and all,
and just one last thing, it's AfterBuzzTV.com/afterblogs.
Gotcha. Okay, and and if you go to our homepage of our site, there's a button there too that has it. Okay, so I was happy to see Eli and Doyle meeting with the sheriff at Tabor Heights, because I'm loving Eli getting stronger.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely seeing him rebuild himself kind of from ground up, and very quickly, to me, surpassing Doyle's role even. I mean, I don't...
Of course. I mean, I would surpass his role in the
Yeah,
tough factor.
absolutely. Right.
But by the way, Doyle his incompetence just got 11 guys killed, and he's still smarting
He's
off.
still laughing. And he's
I
a
mean,
mess.
talk about like with the leopard spots never change.
Nope. You can't phase him. You can't.
No.
I mean, the only thing that ends that guy's a bullet.
I was going to say, that might be his greatest protection,
Or
though,
two. I feel like he would miss the first bullet.
Yeah.
You'd need two on that guy.
Probably.
Yeah, if he was any more, like, onto it, he might be seen as actually threatening, and that might actually put him in harm's way. Maybe that's his kind of cloak against
He'd need
all
a
that.
lower register in his voice.
Yeah.
A little bit, because we love that. Just like...
I like him now that he's on our side. When I say R, I say Nucky.
Yes.
So I don't. When he was against us, I wanted him dead. Now I'm okay with him. But it's interesting that he's such a survivor that he has no problem now with Eli having the upper hand. He's like,
Right.
okay, if that's...
But he can intimidate the people that are lower around him, like the cop. He knows the cop isn't on his level, so he can
He's just
use him.
He's just a classic weasel. A weasel will, if they can beat you up or threaten you or scare you, they'll do it. If that's not going to work, then they'll kiss your ass. He is just your classic
He gets
weasel.
in where he fits in. Yes, for
But
sure.
I give him credit for now. You're going to see Eli is going to be his boss, and he's fine with
And
it.
he's fine with that.
But
right.
But I can't help but think when I see the two of them together, they kind of look like Tweedledum or
And Tweedledee and
Tweedledee.
Tweedledum. Yeah.
That's going to change.
I hope other people can see them as
gonna
tough, because
change.
as a viewer,
It's
I'm
not
seeing them
they.
as both
It's
really
just
weak.
Eli.
By the
It's
way,
just
the
gonna be
sheriff was scared of Eli. Did you see how Eli ended that meeting?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Eli really stepped
It's
it up.
not
going to
be
together.
Tweedledee Tweedledum for long.
Yeah.
Eli is going to grow back into... By the way, it's not even grow back into...
He
Eli
was.
always... But even still, he was wearing that uniform. And just when you're in a cop's uniform, there's something a little less than, say, the gangsters.
Yes.
But you saw in the previews for next week, and I don't want to get into predictions, we finally see him in a nice suit. So you're going to see him grow beyond what he was before.
I agree with that.
And in this
Yeah.
episode, he wasn't yet in a suit, but he wasn't in Popper's clothes either.
Mhm.
So he's
Right.
really making that
Intermediate.
slow step
Yeah.
up.
Progression.
Yeah.
Which I love seeing.
Yeah.
Anyway, now let's get to Nucky and Remus and Harry Daugherty and Jess Smith and that whole world, because it was fascinating. You know, we knew
Fascinating.
in a show don't tell move, once that goldfish bowl was filled with water and a goldfish, we knew something was up, because that's where you put the money for
money.
Harry Means. So
Yes,
there he is
yes.
with Remus, who, you know, I wonder if it'll ever get old, Remus referring to himself in third
Remus.
person.
Oh, it gets old. It got old to me the first time I heard it.
Yeah. This episode, it was a bit much. I thought. We get it.
Kristen doesn't like it.
Kristen doesn't like it.
Kristen does.
Kristen doesn't like it.
No.
I wonder if he really did do that. I should have done my research.
I don't know.
Anyway, you're right. It's a little old,
Yeah.
but we see our friend Chris McDonald playing Harry Daugherty, which we love seeing.
Yes.
But we see that the conundrum with Harry Daugherty and Jess Smith.
Yeah, this political dance is going to be very delicate, right? Because I guess that's his henchman. But I guess ideally Remus is up for indictment according to the order, but he can't because he kind of then points the finger at Harry. And Nucky's not having it. I mean, he's just not going to take the fall for this. So I guess Harry's really underestimating how far Nucky's willing to go.
You just said you're a local bootlegger, and man, it's I don't know how far I can talk about this with. I don't want to upset our fans, because there's spoiler
don't
alerts
spoil, yeah.
that I don't know from the creators of the show, but I know from history. I mean, well, let's say this. I've said from the beginning, Nucky is going to prevail over all of this, because
Right.
we know in history he lives on. The bottom line is we know from past even podcasts and our research that Gaston Means is just a weasel who plays both sides of the fence.
Right.
And so you see him go from one side to another. I wanted to say more about Jess Smith and what's going to happen, but I think I have to wait another couple episodes. I don't want to peeve off the fans. Let's talk about Nucky in jail. He meets Albie Gold. And I always find, like, when they give out a name, it's a character that'll end up being significant.
Of course, especially when you get the last name.
And so he's
Yeah.
just a local bootlegger, like a real small.
Just very small potatoes, yeah.
But you see, they went to when Nucky goes to court. You see, the director does a close up on Albie Gold when it's revealed when Esther, our old prosecutor friend, reveals this is who
he is.
Nucky is. So we went to a close-up of him where he got excited. So I think he'll want to expand his business maybe down in the Washington area with Nucky in the future. But I think the biggest thing that came out of this was the resurgence of the prosecutor. And when I saw the opening of the show and seeing the prosecutor, it made me say to myself, I was excited to see her, and also it reminded me of how many characters are in this world.
You forgot she existed.
I totally forgot. I totally forgot.
Well, I was really happy to see her back because she's a different kind of woman to this series to me. Like, I enjoy Margaret and her causes, and that's all awesome. But Esther Randolph is not playing any games with these people. You know, like, I can't imagine. I practiced law in the 21st century. I cannot imagine what it must have been like to practice law as a woman in the 1920s.
No, it was how it was supposed to be when we could roll over you guys.
Get the hell out of here.
Unnecessary roughness.
Thank you for that, Phil. But she's badass, and I think that Nucky respects her in a way that is absolute. Like, it just makes me happy.
Well, how interesting is it that Nucky's bad luck actually becomes good luck? That he runs back into her, and that potentially they'll be able to take down people together. You know, you think Nucky,
I'll tell you, it's
every time it works out in his favor, no matter what the circumstance.
Because he's always got one good card left. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how shitty his hand is, there's always one or two cards he can play, and he knows that. So when he's on his way out of Harry Daugherty's office, and he's like, "Who do you think they're going to believe?" You know, AG or. Nucky knows. He's like, oh, we'll see who they'll believe. You know, we'll see about that.
when I look at it like this, like, okay, yeah, I'm just a local bootlegger, but I'm more the cornered rat. So I have nothing to lose. You're in a big house.
Way more to
You're in
lose.
a big giant glass house. The other thing is I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, and if you haven't, let me tell you, when sometimes you're going against people, sometimes in war, it's best to try. It is really best to try to avoid it, because I know when I've had to go at people in legal battles or other battles, it's when I've attacked, they've always fought. The attack has led to something in their favor. So here now so here Daugherty sent.
So true.
They bust him for this little pint, and it just leads to something greater. It leads to him getting to Esther. You know, had they just not done that, it would have been okay.
Right, it's all for the sake of teaching
it's great
him
writing,
some
because I see it in life.
Yeah. But it could also come to where Esther could possibly turn on Nucky.
It was a risk. Great risk, calculated gamble, because he's going to go down by Daugherty anyway.
It's not even that calculated, you guys, only because she's a prosecutor, and like in the legal field, prosecutors are kind of thankless positions, right? They get hardly any money. They spend a long time kind of climbing the political ranks, but what they do have is their ambition. Like, that's the number one thing that all prosecutors have. And Nucky is being super brilliant. He's appealing to her ambition. He called her invisible. He talked about how, you know, basically...
Yeah, me scared.
You're so much better than...
Yeah, 20-cent breakfast, you know, what the hell is Queen of Night Court? Like, dig. So now he's got her ambition thirsty. And I think that's going to pay off.
And
big.
we see her body language. Great actress. She's so defeated in the first case. We just see her, like, mentally just exhausted.
Yeah.
So it was perfect, and he sniffed it out. But also, he said, he goes, if it makes you feel good, you had me
sweating.
You had me sweating.
But that's the game too. He's appealing to her.
But I think she did have him sweating.
She did nice. Yeah.
You know, she did. He was on the ropes with her.
And where he goes, not everyone knows who he is and what he's done. She's got everything listed out and memorized in perfect order. Every wrong that he's ever done. But I don't want to forget about the amazing line from the judge.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
don't try to look for meaning in the courtroom.
I appreciate you trying to find purpose to your life.
That's the life. I sympathize with your desire to bring purpose to your life. You guys, we all have to use that, because how many right? When
you can say it at least 10 times a day to 10 different people.
To so many of the knuckleheads you're dealing with on a daily basis. I sympathize with your desire to bring purpose to your life. It's great. Great line.
Yeah,
amazing line.
That was great. But the courtroom is not the place, Boo. That's what he told her. I loved it.
Yeah.
That was true.
Well, with Van Alden too, that was the meaning of his life as well. And look what happened to him when you lose that. Right. Where are you then?
These moral do-gooders. Yeah, it's fascinating.
I feel these two are going to work together, and I feel like they're going to work well together.
For two very different reasons.
Of course.
Yeah, I like that, though.
Yeah. With one main common goal.
Yeah, because it's one thing to put away a bootlegger from Jersey, but to go
the
after
entire
somebody...
federal government almost at some point.
Huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
Huge. So we're excited to see that. Quickly, we see Nucky and Billy. He missed Billy's premiere. Billy did get a card from a director, which I feel, I was like, oh, he said,
please say the name.
I wanted the name because it's like, who are they going to go with? Who is a big director? I hope they go with a real life character.
Yeah.
That'll be so fun. Yeah. And ultimately, will that take her away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what already took her away was her finding out what she did to Cantor to get him to stay involved in the project or in the show.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because that also, she's greedy. She likes being on Broadway. She just got a good review. So once again, it's that dance that you always do with Nucky.
Yeah.
You know, you get something out of it. You want to get away, but Margaret wants to get away, but kind of nice to be able to go to the hospital and do all these good deeds. Have your kids living in a mansion. So I don't know.
We had Bethany's prediction last week of Nucky possibly killing Billy, and I was looking for any sort of little hint that they're gonna be at odds soon. I didn't see it too much.
No.
I think she'll either fly the coop to go to Hollywood to make movies, or it'll be interesting because we know the mob has always had this weird attraction to show business, and it started in Broadway and nightclub acts and things like that, and then it went into movies. So it'll be interesting. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited to see that.
I think she'll go to movies though, because last episode when Cantor kind of was like, "Do you remember so and so?" and she's like, "Who?" He's like, "And the next one won't know who the hell you are either." I think that kind of gave her a window into how short term this little stint can be, and so get while the getting's good.
Yeah, and I think it'll be fun to see that the movies around 23 where we're still silent movies.
Right.
Talkies aren't coming for another, I don't know, 7 or 8 or 9 years. Actually, you know what? Was it 29? I forget. I know the first Oscar was 29. But anyway, it'll be fun. And again, I hope they deal with real life historical characters because I love when the show does that. Okay, so finally we get to Teddy and Margaret and Owen and that whole thing.
Oh, Teddy.
Teddy. Little fire starter.
Teddy needs his own teddy bear.
Yes.
He is so deeply troubled without Nucky there, without a father figure.
But always was, because he knows the father. He knows the father.
He
Something
remembers.
weird went down with the first dad.
Yeah, he knows.
Plus, the first dad we know was a drunken scoundrel, so that's in his DNA.
Yeah, but they kept kind of making it ambiguous. Did he do it? Did he not do it? Did he do it?
Whether he did it or not, he still went to
the other woman's house.
He was in the other lady's house with the kerosene and the rags.
I think I see him as a copycat child. He sees perhaps, perhaps seeing someone do that, he wants to do that. It seems like he wants to emulate these older men.
Yes.
So I see him not doing it in the first place, but getting the idea. He's got the knife under his pillow.
Yeah,
clearly
he's obsessed with protection.
Yeah.
Right? Like we definitely see him as this protector of his mom, his protector of his sister. I think he sees Nucky as the great protector. It's all very, very weird. And Nucky needs to be really, really careful in terms of like the impression that he's giving this young boy, right? Because he clearly is emulating everything he sees from him.
The kid's a good actor.
Great actor, right?
Yeah. Because he keeps me on edge a little bit. Like, this kid's kind of creeping me out.
And then he said he wants Nucky, I want Daddy here, and then it changes it to Owen.
Yeah. Exactly. And when he says Daddy, I think he's thinking of his Mr. Schroeder, his original father.
Real dad, wow.
And then she refers to
Nucky as
as the father. So I think he's so confused. And poor
the
daughter Emily not knowing what's happening and him pulling out a knife. And she's so young and
I feel those kids,
Well, okay, let's just talk about how excited you were to see
Owen
and Margaret get together.
Poor Kevin, like he wanted to throw up.
I was like, come on.
And
guys.
I won't be surprised if Teddy saw that happening.
Right. Tissy sees everything.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I was just happy to see Margaret get a little something. I mean, she's been so neglected for so long, and it's in her face
and
now.
She always, I know at nighttime you sleep with your hair down as a woman back then, but you always see her during the day with her hair up.
Right. She was
very uptight. She
was back to being like a young, beautiful woman.
Yeah, her hair's down. She's feeling free, and then she lets that happen again. And she
instigated it.
She instigated it, but she has such moral she'll have a moral dilemma from this now after this happens because it happened before.
I don't know if she'll have a moral dilemma this time.
I think she feels more entitled this time.
I think because Nucky soiled that so badly with his cheating with Billy.
Yeah. Well, she went so far though to seem to overcompensate for the mistakes that her sins.
Yep.
Yes. I think she felt bad then for sure.
But she had a great, we have to go over, what was her line? Like, how did we get here? How did I get here?
This whole thing.
Yeah.
Not even just right here, you know, next to the greenhouse, but why am I here in Nucky's? Why am I his wife? Why am I here?
Everything. I think
everything. Completely everything.
I think they went over all of it. Well, why don't we? Let's see. Do we have news and gossip?
We got
week?
A little news and gossip.
All right. Well, so we'll do news and gossip, and then we have a couple of cool catches of the week, and then we'll do predictions.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so this is some casting. For those of you who can't get enough of Richard, that actor, Jack Houston, is going to star...
Angelica Houston.
Yes, Angelica Houston's nephew, of everybody who didn't know. He's going to be starring in a complicated romantic drama / dark comedy. It's going to be called Posthumous. It co-stars indie film ingenue Britt Marling, and it's about a struggling artist who's inspired by examples of previous artists who, like, croaked. So he fakes his own death and then gets into some weird love dilemma with this chick. So it's going to be pretty interesting. He's also got 3 other films coming out in the top of the year. Kill Your Darling, some biopic. Way Down South, that's going to be an indie crime drama. And something starring Jeremy Iron, a thriller called Night Train to Lisbon. So he's going to be in quite a few things.
I remember, were you guys with us at the beginning of the season? It might have just been me and Bethany, but when I met him at Extra.
Oh, I was there. Yes.
And yeah, he was something really dashing, and I mean he had the mustache and he looked very Errol Flynn, but obviously it's for this show because they're still filming Boardwalk. But what a great guy and a gentleman and really handsome.
Yeah, all right, Kevin, I see you. But just joking.
Okay, wait. Now I'm gay.
No.
I'm gay. I'm prejudiced. I was sheltered
misogynistic,
growing up. Misogynistic, and then no.
You're my dream man.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, but no, he's obviously everyone agrees with you. He's going to be hot to trot.
He has a vintage look. He has that vintage look. He's perfect for this.
So far, so good on meeting people on this show. I'm, also the actor who plays Lucky was great. Great guy. Really, really, really cool.
Yeah. So good stuff for Boardwalk alums going forward. So yeah.
Yeah, I think any of these guys. I mean, it just keeps speaking to our business. Phil, I have to tell you, the president of IMAX is like a few doors down from us. His dog got loose, so at like 2 in the morning, I'm like chasing this dog down, and brought him into my house. We ended up calling the guy. The guy comes over. I didn't know who he was, but he told me what he had done for work, and I was so impressed. And the one thing we were talking about is we've never had this many actors or celebrities ever, and in the business, and there's almost not enough work for them. And to think about, like, you get a role on this show, I mean, not that it's about money, not that any of this is about money, but gone are the days of the big stars making a lot of money on TV shows, because it's HBO, so the cable shows, you're only doing 12 episodes, and you're not getting the million an episode like in Friends. You're lucky if you're getting 50,000, but these smaller actors aren't in all those episodes, so they're not going to get that much. So they really got to hustle outside. But the good news is it does give more opportunities to actors. I mean, a show like this might have had, say, 3 or 4 leads back in the day. Now it's got 20 or 30 people that I know as me as a filmmaker to choose from to go and work with.
Sure.
So it's very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone on the show you'd be blessed to have in a film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I follow Michael K. Williams, the actor that plays Chalky White, and he's tweeting and Instagramming all kinds of on-set film work he's currently doing. Right. So we're going to see awesome stuff from him too.
I think you get on these shows, and if you have a good agent or you're aggressive, who's not going to want to employ you?
Yeah.
Right, but it's still a hustle, which is insane.
Total hustle.
If you think it's a hustle for someone who can get on this show, what's it going to be for someone who's not on the show? You guys,
it's a bigger hustle now than it's ever been, and part of that hustle is paying your bills.
Yes.
Because you're not making that money.
No.
So and sometimes it's nice to have the money to support your fame, because when you are that famous, you want to be able to have privacy. You want to be in a building that's safe, or you want to have a place that has a big gate, or whatever the case is. And now these guys can't afford that, but yet are wildly famous.
But I'm so glad a lot of these people aren't from Boardwalk aren't that famous because it's almost like that band that you liked before they were huge.
Too commercialized.
And they become too big.
I agree.
Yeah.
But the great thing is
them
with an HBO show or a lot of the like AMC and now FX is proving it too. You don't need to get a star. You can make the star. In fact, the star works against you because when you see a star, you're like, wait, that's Dustin Hoffman.
Yes.
You know,
and that didn't work
by
out.
the way, so Dustin's so great, and Steve Buscemi's so great that he's Nucky. But sometimes it can work against you because you can't get past their face as a star.
Yeah.
So you have a brand, HBO, that makes stars. We know that.
Yeah.
And so we want to see new faces. So I look at me as like a lower level struggling filmmaker. I love it. Because it just means more opportunities for us as filmmakers and for actors.
And for actors because they're giving them such good content to work with.
It's an amazing platform.
Yeah.
Very so it really can help them shine.
Any other news and gossip?
That's it for this week, ladies and gents.
I have a question, Phil. Do you like Boardwalk Empire?
I do.
Yeah?
Why?
Here's some hesitation in
that.
that.
I did too.
Because Phil's not really a fan of the mob genre. He didn't like Goodfellas. Phil, what were your thoughts on Godfather?
I liked Godfather.
Just liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it. I saw it at an incredibly young age. Why I did that, I don't know.
Yeah,
but I saw it like 10.
Yeah, that's a
so I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny to hear meh with Godfather.
Yeah, you know what, Phil? You know
From
what you
a guy
need to do?
too,
Maybe over
right?
maybe over Thanksgiving, over Christmas, we watch it in the screening room. We need to watch you spend put aside 3 hours or 6 hours or however long they all are. But it's quite a piece of filmmaking.
I was more into westerns. I don't know. That was my thing.
Okay, so what was your
Once Upon a Time in the West.
That's amazing.
All the
High Noon,
Clint Eastwood movies, all those. So there's a lot of them.
See
Fistful
Noon.
of Dollars. High Noon was good.
See High Noon though.
Unforgiven is the latest one.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
that was my scam.
I was just curious. All right, so here's some catches of the week. Phil, can we finally get somebody to create a catches of the week drop?
Rich is this is a little bit of
Sir
crossover.
Richard.
Sir Richard Wentworth, he went off on a stint where he was doing this music video. So we lost Richard Wentworth for a few weeks. So he was all about his music video,
which is premiering on our Walking Dead podcast, correct?
Yes, that's tonight.
He did a zombie video to his song.
So, but hence we have no catch of the week theme song, but we do have a music video premiering tonight.
Okay, well that's very exciting. Anyway, all right. So, speaking of catches of the week. Okay, what do I have here from? Well, I want to first go to because I know we throw all the love to Mike August and he does deserve it. But Michelle from New York, who's also written me before, she was saying she as a Jewish girl herself, she's fascinated by the relationship between Rothstein, Lucky Meyer, and Benny Siegel. And I think one of the things that stands out to her is how much she's seeing Meyer stick up for and protect Benny.
Yeah.
The way he's almost trying to keep him away from this, and Benny's this crazy loose cannon who's fighting to get his way in. And then we know in history that Meyer did everything he could to stop them from killing.
And
finally he just couldn't.
Right.
So she loved that whole thing. And then the second thing is she threw out some Margaret love that I want to read because I know with Bethany she's been down on Margaret. So, please take care before judging Margaret too harshly for being, quote, manipulative. It's also manipulative to hold a gun to someone's head, to intimidate people with thugs, and to make bystanders fear for their families. In other words, all things which Nucky has been doing since the series began, and yet he is often forgiven by fans while Margaret is raked across the coals for her evil lady manipulation. If the money Margaret spends for good is tainted, she is not the one who tainted it. If she is manipulative, at least no one has died for her cunning. Just something to keep in mind. I totally agree with my Michelle in New York. I totally agree with her.
I've got a rebut.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that sometimes just the term manipulation, it's so negative in connotation, but when I do call Margaret very manipulative, but I don't mean it in a bad way necessarily. I mean it in a way that she is very strategic. And I think that there's some overlap between a manipulation and a strategy. And I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in the world. But she certainly is someone who's very aware of the chips that she can play, and she plays them accordingly. Now, I call that manipulation. I don't think that makes her a bad person. I don't think that has evil intent, but I certainly see it as manipulative. Not to say Nucky's any less. In fact, I think he's even more manipulative than Margaret. But I think she's manipulative, and I think it's all good.
I think when you're a woman then, and you might have to resort to certain things that we wouldn't have to
Yeah,
now.
what other choice does she have?
Yeah, it's strategy. It's
she
strategy.
could, you guys, she could, here's why I agree, you know, so you've made your case, and I could tell you're an attorney because there's no way to argue it. So I'll add to, I think what Michelle's saying is that she could use this manipulation to get more furs, more power.
Yes,
she could be like Jillian.
Bad.
I mean, once again, we see all these women, Gillian, now the prosecutor. We've seen all these women. It's so interesting. They're all fighting for something.
Yeah.
And at least she's got a higher goal.
I agree.
So I agree with Michelle.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
next case.
The other thing is next case. But you know what's funny? I left out a little bit of symbolism was when when Margaret told Teddy, "You sneak about, you lie, you destroy things, and you get people killed." Isn't that
talked about Nucky?
Yeah.
Okay, so from superfan Mike August, real quick, he's amused by all the poker face references with Rothstein, as Rothstein ends up being killed over debts he racks up from playing poker. It was estimated that he owed $320,000 that he refused to pay up, and we know that's late in the late 20s, so hopefully that's a little while off. Also, the episode title references an Eddie Cantor song, and you'd be surprised. It's about a man who is a wizard in the bedroom in private. A wizard in the bedroom in private. I see. Great writing when Nucky tells Rothstein he is dead below the waist, and Otto responds, "I practice discretion." He likes that subtle tie-in to the song. There is a sound of a train passing as Van Alden is killing Coughlin, symbolism that Van Alden is headed for a new destiny/journey, likely in the underworld of Old Banyan. And speaking of Van Alden, I think he will believe he is doing God's work when he does go to the dark side, hence justifying the bad things he will be involved in. He will be on the other side of the law, but the end result is essentially the same, taking bootleggers and dangerous criminals off the streets, assuming he does a hit or two. And I think he will have a code of ethics/moral compass, meaning he won't hurt anybody unless they have sinned. And it will be interesting to see him in the same room as the big-time bootleggers he so desperately wanted to put away. We know he will be tempted to intervene and go into Elliot Ness mode. So I agree with all that.
Yeah.
I would also love to see some backstory with Jip. I imagine he fled Sperlinga after getting caught for sleeping with somebody's wife. And he is attracted to redheads, and we know red is symbolic of fire and danger. Yes.
I just want to say this real quick about Jip and gypsies. I think there might be some connection between him being named Jip, as you know, as you just
Teddy
mentioned.
seeing gypsies.
Yeah.
Teddy seeing gypsies.
And you know he could be a little bit like a gypsy himself.
And isn't it interesting that Teddy kind of got into that?
And Margaret asked flat
That's
out.
why, she said.
Yeah,
is
Jip
this
Rossetti? Yeah, I thought that was very interesting as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Never
Okay,
doubt it.
so let's go to predictions. Speaking of.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well,
we see Jip's gonna come back, obviously, and looks like he's got a hit on Nucky, Rothstein, and Lucky Luciano.
Says he's going to kill them all. But he does admit that he's going to be he feels he's in a bit of a position of weakness.
Yeah, I need some more
because
manpower.
he stayed away. I mean, you know, he had to make himself scarce.
But he says, "I'm down." He says
he's lacking manpower.
Right.
Yeah, and they know that because there's just more of them than there are of him.
He's going to have to go to Masseria, excuse me.
Yeah. I think he might get in over his head. I don't think we're going to see Jip around much longer.
Oh, I disagree.
I want to.
We're in episode 5, so if there's 12 episodes, he'll go to the end.
You think he'll make it all the way to the end?
Yeah,
I just think because with the dog references and
the second to last, yeah, because you gotta typically with these shows we talk about all the time is the big villain has to get his comeuppance at the end.
Yeah.
And if they kill him before the finale, then I think it's like they'll peak too soon.
Right.
Like where could they
That's
go?
What I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. But
I don't know. I just see him getting in over his head. He's got way too many men against him.
I know, but
and he's got such a big. His eyes are bigger than his stomach.
I do agree with that.
True, but he's tied to the Sicilian mob, the real mob that at this period in time,
that's why
are the strongest ones.
But that's why I think it's okay if he may go because they're the real villains. They're the ones who are going to be.
But at the end of the season, because if you're looking at this, if you're HBO or the writer that created the series, hopefully you're looking at 8 seasons. So you're looking at now what we have to hope for, you guys, is we have to hope that I know our numbers aren't great. They're not as great as say Sons of Anarchy, or they're not. So we have to hope HBO hangs on to this show because of the critical acclaim.
Yeah.
Because then we'll be okay. If we get to a Deadwood place where they're like, okay, not one more season, or they pull a plug, then all of these things are going to be resolved so fast.
Too quick.
Way too quick.
I think at least they're getting enough like Emmy love and stuff like that I think that'll keep it going.
And you guys reported there is a season 4.
There's definitely going to be season 4.
I know.
Yes, we
and but that makes me nervous because I'm like, why one season? Why weren't we renewed for 2 or 3? You know, like that made me so scared.
You know, if we go into next season and we jump, ahead a couple years,
we know we're in trouble.
That's true.
And by the way, guys, money.
Yeah.
This show
is
so
expensive.
And it's like why I love John Adams and this and you just hope that they get the numbers, because I want these kind of productions to still be made, these historical productions.
But I think slower episodes like this hurt the cause.
Definitely.
You know, and it's
it's
troubling.
It does hurt the cause, but we're in a bigger problem because our numbers aren't great.
Yeah.
They're not bad, but they're not great. I think it was like 3 million. But I think it's a little bit down from last year.
See, episodes like this are slow, and certainly we all felt that way, but they got to slow it down so that we can build and understand the political blocks. Like that whole arc, like if they don't slow that down, nobody's going to get it or appreciate the payoff when, everything kind of unravels in that neat way that we all know it will.
But it's funny. They have so many characters to work with that they could give us something.
Yeah, I miss Chalky. Like, I don't understand why we're not getting Chalky White.
Like we could have had Chalky White doing something.
Something cool.
I just think Harry Daugherty and Jess Smith, none of them really hold that much of a weight with the viewers, really. We don't have any emotional connection to them.
I felt that was long, and I felt that Margaret and them was long too.
Yeah.
Margaret and Owen.
And a lot of Margaret's storyline has kind of brought us askew also with the hospital. I don't really know where that's going to tie in with moving us forward.
I like when in the hospital politics when she stands up for herself and knocks people down. I like that. But it was anyway. I think there's enough room to keep these things sizzling because there's so many characters.
So many characters.
Anyway, but you know what? So we're gonna come back next week, right?
Yes, next week's gonna be awesome. I can tell.
Yeah, it's gonna be good next week. All right, you guys, please keep sending us your comments. We love them, and I don't know anything else.
You can follow us on Twitter.
Oh my God!
I always know because Kevin's not really on Twitter.
I am not on Twitter. No, I had enough.
So bougie.
That was enough.
Well,
I tried it, and you know what? It was.
Twitter's not my thing. I have to fake it to kind of fit in.
No, it was a lot of fun because you can get information really quickly, and you can make new friends. It was fun for that, but.
He needs new friends.
No, after I did the Stern show, I took a left turn. The second time we did Stern, and it wasn't fun anymore.
No.
So, but tell me, where do we find you guys?
Well, if you guys wanted to follow Kevin and can't, you can follow me at Kristen Carney. It's KristenCarney.
And you can follow me at Eboni_K, EBONI_K.
Eboni_K. That's an easy one. I love that.
Mine's my full name.
That's your full name. That's good. You either got to go with your full name or something easy.
Yeah, no underscores.
Don't say
no,
that.
but
do you have underscore?
Oh, you do have underscore.
Yeah, but it's a simple one.
Yeah, just underscore, middle score, K.
Okay.
K. Yeah. But if it was Eboni_ in your last name, that wouldn't be.
Bulky.
Yeah, I see a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's let everyone go. You guys
follow us on Twitter. It's the bottom line.
Please. We'll see you guys next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.